So there is a video component. It might help to understand things, but I'm hoping to get to a place where authentically this emotion, the anger, guilt, shame, and fear, that's why those are the first 4 feelings, why 4 was a case study, is a case study. But the origin comes from those things bubbling up. So which one do you hear? Again, anger, guilt, shame, and fear. When you hear the next bit, which one do you hear? And I'm just gonna say, I flipped it. The emotional flip. So this will be podcast 5. Podcast 6, the next one, will just be 4 minutes. And then podcast 7, we'll finally talk about it. Heaven, how do you get light?
Top part of
All right,
Post-it note.
thanks so much for listening.
I'm gonna do something with it. Nope, just throw it away. You don't
Got it.
let go. But also,
I'll get these
why
numbers
wait?
down, I promise.
They
It'll be less frustrating.
Public education.
Okay.
Resources. It's
Bye.
not to do with it. Desire, knowledge, money. Yeah, to some degree.
So where's the money, the social community?
Yeah, where's that money? You need to be accountable for the money. Every Wednesday, thank you, principal. He asked every week. He showed the dead end, just the no response. The origin with one prick.
Truly.
Ow! Being stabbed sucks. So I asked him, do you want me to stab you? It hurts.
That
Doesn't even pierce the fucking skin.
And I yelped. Right there. Oh my God. Come on, y'all. Stop yourself.
So I'm going to be using voice memos since typing is way too hard. I told Amelia a while ago, which is something you guys all know, that I'm having trouble with the reading and the stress of it all. That's the problem. So those why the accommodations fit the issue, right? Anyway, I have to force my words out. So the comparison is literally the meetings. So you've heard my voice change, correct? And there's no record of it when I requested it because the contradictions were becoming too great, as well as the obvious desire to disconnect. So I'm gonna use my voice because it's easier than typing. Please note the bullet points in the email to sum up last meeting, all right? And when I sit with Brian Keith Washington, just know if you hear it, it is the impact that was given to me with the yelling. Do you remember that from the February 3rd meeting during the closed meeting as I took it and then the open session, just let it out because I'm not keeping it in. I'm not able to. We have a building that has issues with access, correct? That's why I joined the board. I joined the board to make committees so that we didn't have all these stolen packages, all right? And I'm still getting stolen packages. I don't know if other people are, but there's still a disconnect. So those things have not been solved. And you tell people to leave the building if they're not happy. I was told by the president to quit the board if I can't process. I can't process the compounding disconnects, contradictions. And the vote here is the whole issue. You guys vote to protect the building group. I thought the board of directors is to hold them accountable and make sure they're not moving money around. Because didn't that just happen with the previous office manager? After all, Nate Smiley blamed Michael Hargrove so often, said his name so many times. It re-triggered me, and I remembered. Oh yeah, that's the guy. What happened to him?
Honestly, was the
He stole
only space
and was rewarded. So
that
that's not a
helped
good
me get through
thing.
domestic
Okay?
violence
Please
stuff
put
with
on the
nowhere to go
agenda.
because the hours
I will
are
send
so
you an email.
perfect.
Let me
It
know who
opens at
votes
6
for
in the
what.
morning
And I want to
stays
talk
open
about
till
that.
10.
The vote is the whole point. You're
In
covering
addition,
up.
They did a
I thought anything I asked from the building group, I get. Their marketing is transparent, accountable, and proactive. So Brian Keith, that's an example of not being
It's so
proactive. You're creating a
startling
situation where you
that
don't want to
their
hear the CHA
excuses
issue and
cannot
how to
fly
the steps to
because
get
other
there.
people were
And I'm
able
not going to be
to
the
do
liaison
all
back
of
and
the
forth. This entire time, I've talked to you guys about
suggestions
residents coming to
and-
me, feeling retaliated against, feeling uncomfortable because they were being yelled at. I understand how they feel. Kevin, you told me you weren't getting answers from Nate Smiley. That was your effort to work on.
It's helped me
Well, I can validate. I told
realize
you, I validate that. I
how
get exactly
these
what you're saying.
excuses during this
Anyway,
pandemic
This is easier for me.
is
It'll
really
be
just
in a
laziness
primary
and
care
that insane
physician
greed yet again.
letter of
because-
recommendation.
Again, and I yelped.
They're recommendations because I've been asking for them
take,
anyway,
and
and
no
now they have
give.
to be on paper. That's the
That's no
difference.
way
I've
to
already
live.
been asking for my
literally
accommodations to
sitting-
record. That's when I asked, hey, what happened? The only letter I got regarding what happened with this change, emails, no notes, no emails, or no snail mail. Nothing under my door. I've been here every single day for a very long time until I walked downstairs and there was a new person and I had not been informed of any changes.
in the gym of this building to
As an
dampen
owner
the
since
trauma
2009.
from the property management office.
All right, my
As
voice
I
goes
revel
out. My
in
voice
the
goes out. Don't
peacefulness
forget.
I just came
You
from
can
and
listen to
experiencing
this
that
or not,
contrast
but recognize
again.
I have
Why is it when
questions
you
and
walk
I would
into
like
a
some
space,
answers.
you can instantly
Still,
feel different?
I was told I could ask
Well,
for anything and be given it.
Why is it that
And
we're obsessed
remember, my
with
first
this
question
look
was that you
of
guys just not
things
seen it because you're
and
not
this
present.
constant
Until
need
the
to have
residents showed up and I
luxury
said the attendance
and
2 times.
pampering.
Attendance is an issue.
because it gives
Then you guys
an
started
imagery
showing up. So now I know for
and
sure.
a story to talk about.
It's not the fact that you're
and it
unaware
incites
because you're
jealousy
not
in
present.
others.
So that's not the problem.
I don't like the emotion
I'm a problem
jealousy because I was
solver.
exposed to
The
it a
problem
long
began
time
in
ago.
September 2020 and February 3rd, 2021. Those are the 2 issues I want to focus on. Everything else is not important. Even the fact that you just said whatever is on the budget line, there's no accountability. Well, you need to make notes when those budget lines change. So how does that work? Someone explain it to me. Or are we going to talk about the fact that none of us really know that much about this? And that's why I asked to join or attend something to help. And Nate Smiley basically said, you guys don't have to do this. We do not share the same standard for line. Specifically for this is something I would send to the board of directors to give them a heads up. That's the problem, right? Say, listen, isn't it obvious I'm getting stronger? He said he was managing 17 properties. You've been he wrote it to me for 2 years now. All his emails went away when you transferred him to a new building. And he said 3 meetings in a meeting with the board of directors. So clearly the standard for line, I'll put it out there in a safer space because this is PTSD and I'm not keeping it inside of me. And this is the way you absolutely tell your ignorant, stupid, primordial, self-preserving body, you're safe. Because I'm using my voice to say, don't worry about that. You got it out because it's out literally into the universe. When I say my words, I visualize my words. Visual, why? Because I'm a writer. And it's tactile, visual, and audio. That's how you all together. Trauma. Just equal like that trauma. Impact. And who said the words? Who had the idea? That's why I will use my name, my cat's name, and I will never say their name. But we all know who gets 100% credit. Thank you
for listening to Smarter Than Trauma presents Lessons, Sessions, and Confessions, where I'm going to try to explain the methodology that I'm using by incorporating my experience as a teacher for kids with special needs in the primary level, that's K through 4 in a Chicago public school in Lincoln Park, as well as the sessions from Dave Michalowski, to check that, since I was invited to attend somebody's session and was reminded about the parent-teacher conferences that I was also invited to explain why the student is either not doing well in the class, because all of a sudden teachers had to grade and those grades had to be posted weekly. So now that parents are in tune to the grade, let's just say they had lots of questions and they absolutely wanted input. And then I became, a special helper, so that I wasn't the special education teacher. I'm just for anyone that needs help. That includes preschool, early childhood, which I'm not accredited to teach, which includes even the after-school programs, which someone down the street from me absolutely knows because she told me that she knows and her have talked about this. But it wasn't enough to have prior knowledge for this person to show any sort of empathy, interest, or care. And that's why I had to hide my voice, and why when they hear my voice now, I can say, listen, I was really self-conscious about this, but I'm laying it out, and I kind of have your family to thank for it. So thank you. And finally, confessions, which is the PTSD triggers verbatim, because it's the stuff that pops out of you when either you don't think people are listening or you don't care. So repeatedly, these 2 groups are talking about each other, gossiping, in a strange dynamic that I've not really witnessed this intensely before, but have certainly been around and walked away from. But this is the problem. You can't walk away from this because they're having conversations with you in the room as if you're not there. And that was the whole thing with pronouns. I'm sitting in a room with 2 other people having a conversation about me, and I start to hear my pronoun. She, her. Is she gonna get this? I don't know about her. Oh, yeah. I see what you mean about her. Because I guess I talk quickly. But then I told them, I'm just being respectful of your time, and there's so much information I want to tell you. But if you need me to talk slower, I'm more than happy to do so. And that was when I couldn't use the speed of my voice and the movement to hide the chronic pain, vestibular, vertigo, etc. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any questions, please write them in the comments. And if you don't mind, if it's applicable, please put the minutes and the seconds, like a timestamp, so that I can refer to what you're saying easily and respond to you more quickly if that's necessary. If not applicable, everything is going real well. I appreciate everyone. Please don't change social studies personally. I'm dealing with the heavy mental health issues. Education is too embedded in me for me to give it up greatly. And the reality is everything in my life and why before education. So I got to put everything into it, and that's why I say or have severe. And yet I'm going to have a hard time functioning if I can't get on my email and I can't read to comprehension and retelling, summarizing. But small things in the moment I can. And I did get numbers back this week. I know because I looked at the numbers on a budget sheet or in a spreadsheet and they weren't dizzying. And the code that you get when you have to verify something, now it pops up on your phone. You just have to tap it once and it automatically goes in. Well, the first time I didn't need to do that, even though I'm so grateful for it. I actually did it old school, like in the past, where you have to just remember it. And that was the thing I noticed. Wow, I really don't remember numbers because I don't remember patterns. So all these little things that help you learn. That's what special education is all about. I teach you how to be a good learner and a good reader. And your work ethic is going to be insane because I'm going to make you work really hard knowing that those skills, once embedded, automatic, will absolutely enable a child to get through many hurdles in any school if they're not being taught, if they're being bullied, if they're being mistreated, and certainly, hopefully, will not fall behind. Recognize, enjoying the goal is to read, pursuits independently, of happiness, choose genres that speak to you and that you like, be able to list off favorite writers, all favorite things you read, and because access to reading and books, psychiatrists, psychologists, the views shared are strictly my own. Advocate, and I did take advocacy and have the goal is to get back to my life of without the trauma, or if the trauma exists, to be able to flick it away easily.
All right, now the reflection. So when you get that stuff out of your system and put it in a safe space like I've been doing for many years, the internet is a container for their PTSD. Their pictures, touches, sounds disordered. I think it's more aptly named shock and awe. I was in shock that this is even possible. How would you ever think to violate the rights of kids with special needs in such a public place? The parents who wanted the A but didn't want to do the work, and then the complaints they gave me. I'm listening to them and the stories don't fit. Your feelings attached to these kids with special needs doesn't fit anymore. Healthcare, their paper trail that completely altered. And then when I asked them one challenging question, one challenging question.
Thanks, Ives. And that's the connective thread. I asked one question. Oh my goodness. Are you sure about that answer? Do you want to think about that answer again?
Nah. Imagine, well, that must be their trauma. That must be something going on in their lives. That must be something. Because that's not normal behavior to just contradict oneself, right? I didn't get it. I really didn't get that. I really didn't get it. But I think we live in a different age now where we can now openly let people know.
I actually had to stop and think, well, do for the first time say it. And that's great because for the first time I thought, well, I'm going to say something different. I agree with your family. Why aren't we moving? And he walked away. And that's it. I remember the moment thinking, all right, I'm not going to do what I usually do. Give a reason, give a word, give my voice. And that's why I want my words back from that school. Because I sat there with parents and teachers and explained to them what special education was at this school because it was highly rigorous. And basically, a study buddy. I do your homework and classwork with you. That's it. But I also teach the special ed benchmark goals that I created using the classwork, knowing that I can't do it like a regular special educator because these teachers don't truly collaborate. They don't have the ability to modify. In fact, one wanted to modify the grading scale. Just out of the blue, I said, well, you didn't read the IEP, did you? Because that's one of the last things on the pages. Because I think it might actually be the very last thing. Does the child need a modified grading scale? And if you indicate that, that means really severe. That means more severe special. And this woman knew special education. She had the same degree as I did. A dual one, special ed and general ed.
Thank you.
Hey, can you explain why you think that way? And that was too much for them. Now they have a witness to observe me, but their subjective observation is in a very limited space, like the standardized testing to test intelligence, when I'm looking at the world in a big picture way. What do people really care about? The social emotional aspect, living independently and having good decision making so they don't have anxiety, being able to be honest and admit your mistakes, the hard stuff, being real with emotion and regulating it. Now my body has been out of whack for a while, but the nice thing is since I posted quite a bit tonight, I was able to put a lot of stuff away. So I'm able to now stay awake and get some more work done, touch the things that need to be touched, and look at the notations that I left myself as I'm losing my words and being triggered hourly, moment by moment. Because I'm living in the house of violence. I'm in a building where people don't answer questions and the residents aren't showing up, but are they informed of the meetings? Any organization that wants to disconnect is going to be a negative thing. All right, it's going to be a negative thing. It's going to be a negative thing because you want to wonder why. Why do they want you disconnected? And this goes all the way back to RIC when they told me the first thing is do not talk to people. Okay, well, I didn't talk to people. They talked to me. They couldn't STFU. Literally. So people need to share. You want to end trauma? Let's elevate the survivor victim stories. All right, so I'm going to continue getting work done in my house. Tomorrow I'll be visiting Lincoln Park Social Services, Community Services, because the CEO, Miss Hamilton Hill, told me let's get lunch and discuss this. But we exchanged a couple phone calls, missed calls, and I'm not sure what happened because I still would like to talk to her. So I'm going to try to catch up with her physically, as well as take some pictures of the place that I think would be good housing for someone who needs housing. Because I do homeless advocacy in the moment live, and I use homeless advocacy as a way to understand myself in this injury more, because the emotions and the feelings that appear are authentic.
I can explain this way better.
But we exchanged a couple phone calls, missed calls, and I'm not sure what happened.
Why not? If you can physically throw away your trauma, flick it away. Flick, 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 flick. Done.
Goodbye, CEO Hamilton. Like I said, we exchanged several phone calls. I have 2 people that tell me about your place. Don't you want to know what they say? And that's the problem. They do not.
Quickly show the supporters. I don't know if they want their names out there. There's a lot. Maybe that's why she wasn't that interested in talking to me. They are well supported. Good for them. Let's go to the big donors. The big donors. Well, here we go. Foundation partners.
I can explain this way better. I'd be going to Northwestern Memorial Hospital or Achieve Orthopedic, and so I'd go the same way multiple times a week. So I bump into the same people. I wasn't really talking then, so I started saying hello to homeless because after time you build a community. I realized that I'd bump into the same people. I'd just say hello. I'd say, hey, do you want to get a cup of coffee? Or I'm about to go get a taco. Do you want to join me? I really enjoyed our conversation. I'd like to know more about this community. And then they tell me like they don't go to that place because they got yelled at. Like, okay, so sounds good. And then you slowly learn the need for phone, technology. While there are home-cooked meals and food, you have to wait in line for like 2 hours sometimes. There's no resources after you get out of prison. There's no resources once you do these job training if you don't have the technological skills. You have to wait for everything. These people get emotional. The laws and the rules in the shelters are kind of harsh. And while many are so grateful for what's available, looking around Chicago, especially en route to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, you see the abundance everywhere. There is a park next to me which has quite a bit of drugs and one homeless person, and that's why when the board of directors were blaming the thefts on the homeless people, ding, 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 no, that's impossible. And also they were blaming residents for letting people in. Well, let's see the cameras, and they didn't have the camera. Homeless advocacy was the first way for me to feel comfortable. And then when I was told that the board of ed was going to say I'm a bad teacher, I thought, well, let me teach anybody. And that's how the open mic idea formed. The open mic idea form was about the loved ones of the survivors because they suffer too. So what if the person who's a survivor victim patient shares a love letter, shares a thank you note, and I could be their teacher helping them write it. And I get a writing sample, and then because I would make plans with them week after week, or I would just see them occasionally, occasionally we could, progress monitor. And maybe then I can get you that taco or cup of coffee. Why not? So I know which businesses are nice to homeless. And this is information that was invaluable. So yes, homeless advocacy was how I understood these emotions and feelings, and also how I realized, wow, my brain works really nicely right now. I'm not stuttering. Maybe if you're with me for longer, one of my clients did realize that I was having some issues and is very cool with it, and so on and so forth. Anyway, the rest of this is really about being able to do the best things for others and elevate them, because my students were treated the worst when they were denied a classroom. So the opposite. Everything stems from the idea that I wish I could do something to give you equal impact to take the pain away. And that's exactly what you have to do. Non-consent requires consent. That's it. Thank you. Everything was created by those around me, so I'm not going to give you credit. I'm not going to identify you at all. But yeah, I'm not smart enough to layer this. Unfortunately, I was hoping I could do something with symbols and associations. I did teach writing. I was a school teacher, literacy, and the events that happened with healthcare showing me what the school did, and then the explanation for everyone else made sense as I actually beginning to lose that trauma. At least I documented it, because one person did tell me a while ago, maybe 2 years ago, that they were in intense trauma. But once they got out of it, they were able to see the light. They didn't have that creative, imaginative spark, which was the trauma, which he almost missed, which I thought was interesting. You missed that about the trauma? And he had said, well, it was sort of the way my brain was working, where I was so used to that feeling. So when I lost that, I didn't know who I was for a while. And I think that is what I'm experiencing. I don't want to be a teacher, and yet education is still really important to me, but it's not the passion that I had before. It's not there. I'm losing the words and the concepts. So like I said, I put everything online that was bubbling up, and you can count them for the frequency. But we don't have to count all of them. We just have to know that there's no resources out there. I tackled so many different places, Eastern and Western medicine, because at one point I realized the Western medicine doctors need a lot of help. Eastern could help you, but they're not open to it. It's a very slow, integrative help thing, they say, but even the doctors are like, they'll just do an assessment and basically, no, there's really nothing that we can offer you like that. And I said, well, that's the problem then. You don't want your patients to get well. Oh, my hands are tied. Yeah, but you're a doctor. Your expertise, specialty matters. I can't listen to this anymore. So there's 16 minutes in the Buzzsprout version of this, which I will add a link, and I think I can actually show everyone because I don't care anymore. There's no flashbacks, and it is easier to think of these things. Okay, here it is. So this one, right? Episode 5.
So there is a video component. It might help to understand things, but...
Oh, that's it. When you hear me on the stairs, that's it. I have to get out of my house. So I use my voice to stop the trauma of their voices, the board of directors and the building group, as well as the you-know-what around the neighborhood. Because I was being stalked for how many years? How many years was I being stalked? Digitally? So indirectly on the phone. That stopped after, I think, a number of years. But then someone on staff, nice people that have been there since I've moved in, saw this person. They didn't know at the time. They actually kicked him out because they were laying on and he said, yep, that's him. Because I had brought down a photo, because the office manager at the time, not the current one, asked me, well, what does he look like? Because she had found out I was having some issues, because I was talking to her and constantly getting the key for the buildings. I was getting locked out. And that's how we kind of got introduced to each other. And I didn't know she had even been there since I had been there, because I never had any need to deal with the property management at all. Love my building. No problems whatsoever. Very quiet. I'm a teacher, so my hours, and I'm busy. Anyway, just listen to the rest of it. I can't anymore. And that is, hold on, one more thing. Oh yeah, and then this thing, so I'm gonna delete that. I don't know what this is. Is this something? Okay, yeah, because the Lincoln Park Community Center talked about de-demonizing the homeless by having the community help pick up. This company, Lorenzo and, shucks, I forgot your name. Elton. Lorenzo and Elton were cleaning the side of a building. I said, what are you doing? Power washing all of the spray paint or the gunk? And I said, that's awesome. That's something homeless could do, because I bump into a lot of homeless people who are already picking up trash on their own. It's not about de-demonize. They just care about being in, they just don't want litter everywhere. Like the resident who came every week, and the one who, after they yelled at me, wanted to have a private Zoom call to tell me, it must be really hard to be on the board and use your voice. And I was like waiting for an apology. Excuse me, you were a previous board member. Don't you want to apologize for this group of people? Oh my goodness. Thank you for re-triggering the domestic violence. Like I said, my attendance was perfect until I had to tell them my PTSD is triggering really badly. And then they knew.
Okay, we'll just re-trigger her and she won't show up at the meeting. I had to get out of the meetings twice. I apologized to the whole group. It was an annual board meeting. I just wanted to know if Mrs. Holston was going to show up, because apparently she has a foundation for homeless, and I let that office know. They're making fun of homeless and they're blaming them. When I said making fun of them, that was in the part-time assistant management meeting. I know, because my body was hurting and I thought this was unnecessary. You were always going to hire the person that you wanted to hire. Why are we even here? Oh, because of our vote. Our vote matters. And they were making fun of homeless living under bridges. Really nice group of people. Not.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, that's extraordinary that you were able to.
Anything like sprayed on the windows, anything like that, or the poles, we'll do the removal.
Do you have a card, or I can take a picture of your thing in case I ever need that?
You can look us up on Kara Clean Slate, and they'll let you know what we do. We do power washing, removal, snow removal.
What is your name?
Landscaping. My name is Elton.
Elton.
His name is
Lorenzo.
Yeah.
All right, Elton.
Like
Lorenzo. Yeah, it's a nice name.
Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. I mean, who knows? I have a not-for-profit, and who knows what services I'll need in the future. I just love that you know, people meet like the universal line. So,
All right.
thanks, Elton.
All right.
Bye.
All right, so we're gonna use that paper trail. It absolutely ends PTSD. I'm not keeping your secrets anymore, and I was exposed to abuse of power, discrimination, retaliation, and continue to be because of the board of directors and Peter Holston. Holston? Yeah. That kind of sounds like Holden, which is why I think Catch-22 is popping up, because for a long time I mumbled, and while I really use emphatics. So again, the question is my voice the problem? Is my body the problem? Is it the fact that I'm asking you a question that you can't answer?
You know, sorry to, so you just saw this and wanted to come and clean it? Nobody asked you to?
No, our supervisor.
Do you have a card, or I can take a picture of your thing in case I ever
can.
need that? All right, Elton.
Like
Lorenzo.
Elton John.
Yeah, it's a nice name.
Lorenzo.
Jamie.